You're listening to Spooks on 4ZZZ, and I am joined in the studio by Dylan Cattanach of the band Katanak.
How's it going?
And Noah the Roadie.
How's it going?
Not a band as such, but affiliated with Katanak.
I bring him everywhere. He's like my little lapdog for all the
Helper
gigs.
gremlin.
Yeah.
I love the term helper gremlin.
I just do all the heavy lifting and all that stuff.
Yeah, he just turned up one day and decided that that's what he wants to do, and he's been there ever since.
So you've actually been on the Brisbane music scene for a little while with the band KB Theory.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a really awesome band in and of itself. But I want to ask, you know, during your early years of being a musician, who were the artists that shaped you?
So during like the KB Theory years and a little bit before KB Theory started, I've always loved like, you know, Powderfinger, Pete Murray, like the real rocky ones. I've always loved like Oz rock.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a personal favorite. Mine always will be like Powderfinger, Pete Murray, those kind of bands that were like the beginning of that Australian, I mean, not beginning because there was always Australian Crawl and all those kind of bands that started it, but like the early 2000s rock that came from Powderfinger and Pete Murray, those kind of people. I love that stuff. I think it's so awesome. And that kind of started my whole, not love, but just like wanting to get into the creativity of songwriting to, you know, start a band and all that kind of stuff. So that really inspired me to start KB Theory. And then I think KB Theory's been going, quotation marks, because I'm not sure if it still is at this point, but because everyone's been really busy. But it's been going for 3 or 4 years. And the music I was writing for, I really liked it. In the last little bit, it's taken a bit of a more grungy turn, but yeah, those bands kind of inspired the music I wrote for that. And you know, a couple of years ago, I came across this band called the 1975, and those guys immediately stole my heart. I love their music. Everything they've done, like every single song, is a masterpiece. I think it's so fantastic, and that inspired me really to take a different kind of songwriting path, to go towards that more like synthy pop, you know, like stuff that they have. I really enjoyed that, and I wanted to start writing that music of my own, and that's kind of what Katanak is. They inspired Katanak, essentially.
KB Theory was 37 on last year's 4ZZZ Hot 100 list, and that's a pretty good spot to be in, like being on the Hot 100 at all.
It's a pretty wicked
37,
spot.
like it's a really good spot. What made you want to shift towards a new direction and start something completely new?
I wanted to basically challenge myself songwriting wise to go away from just pure guitar writing, because you know, a lot of bands in Brisbane are writing just, you know, guitar, drums, bass, vocals kind of music. There's nothing that would stand me out from the rest of them. There's nothing that I felt stood myself out from all the other songs I'd ever written with just that kind of formula. So I was like, I want to write something that stands out in Brisbane, one, and something that I really enjoy. And so I started writing to get away from that like purely band instrument focused writing, and yeah, I just decided one day, I was like, nah, I need to just go for it and get it out there. So now songwriting for Katanak, and yeah, I just wanted to get away from writing for 4 guys in a band, like every other thing that's happening in Brisbane currently.
Yeah. Just to kind of take it to a more personal note, what was the first song, like, with, you know, I don't want to say with lyrics, but what was the first song with words that really struck a chord with you, like that really made you resonate with what the song was trying to say or resonate with a certain feeling that the song was trying to evoke?
For Katanak? Or
just in general, like what was the first song you ever heard just in your own time, I guess, or at a gig that made you think, wow, just made everything, yeah.
I mean, a song that really inspired me, if that is the question, it really inspired me to start taking this new direction, and made me feel something. Like, the lyrics have literally nothing to do with being invigorated or feeling inspired, but Sex by the 1975, like, just the song itself exudes so much energy that you just can't not listen to the song and feel something towards the song. And that's what I feel when I listen to that song. Like, it made me just want to be like, this, I want to do that. I want to be on a stage, giving off that much energy and that much wicked creativity in a song.
Yeah. So when you made the shift from KB Theory to Katanak, you've mentioned that you were chasing a new sound, like just that new direction. Did you know what you were looking for, like what you were hoping to achieve with the new sound, or did you feel that something was missing from what you were doing with KB Theory?
Nothing was missing from KB Theory, but I wanted to have both, like I wanted to feel creative in a different sense, because I enjoyed writing with KB and the boys. I loved that, but I wanted to also take myself away from something that I'd been doing for ages, and focus on something that I'd never done, which was synths and being creative with 808s and electronic drums and drum machines and that kind of stuff that's not really happening in Brisbane currently. So I just wanted to wrap my head around something that I'd never done, and to try and learn a new skill, essentially a new form of songwriting, because it's a whole new can of worms trying to write a synth line into a song, and weird little blippy synths if you've never messed with them before, and you're trying to figure out how you can possibly fit that into a song. And it also forced me to not be so guitar heavy in my songs, and it forced me to be more creative rhythmically than just the old 16ths on the bass and 4 chords.
Yeah. I haven't asked you a question yet, Noah, so I'm just
That's right, yeah.
just reminding you all that Noah is still in the room.
I'm not the focus.
I guess, what kind of music do you listen to when you're not stalking Katanak?
Oh, it's funny. I have a very diverse taste. I listen to, if it's good, I'll listen to it.
Okay.
But something that really, throws a lot of people off is I listen to a lot of funk and soul.
You wouldn't guess it.
Which, not looking at me, no, because and I get that from my dad, because my dad's British, and he grew up in England in the 70s and early 80s, when that was really big, listening to all those big bands and watching Soul Train on the TV, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he sort of imprinted that onto me, so I listen to all of that.
Every time we're driving to Macca's, whenever we hang out, there's always a Macca's run.
Yeah.
He always throws on the old September
Okay.
by Earth, Wind and Fire, and all the classics like that.
July, stuff like that. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So back to you, Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
You've mentioned that you've got a very kind of unique sound that you're going for with Katanak.
Yes.
And you've also mentioned in the past that you found it tricky to find bands in Brisbane that have a similar sound to you.
Yes.
Because I think you've described your sound as a combination of, a bit of indie, a bit of pop, and a bit of funk.
Yeah.
But is there anyone in Brisbane that's kind of come close to what you're going for?
Oh, there's definitely been bands that have got similar vibes now, having been going out to gigs again and like actively looking for people, because while I was songwriting, I kind of was holed up in my room for a while, and I didn't go out to gigs. But there's definitely been a few bands that have, kind of had a similar idea to me. I know Bly, they're from the Gold Coast. I played with them at the Passport to Ellie competition earlier, like a month ago. They're actually really good. I quite like their stuff, and they're a very similar vibe to me. I think they're a 5 or 6 piece band.
Okay.
5 piece, and they're about as close to myself as you can kind of come, but I'm a little bit more synth oriented than them, which is, not, as far as I'm aware, no one else is doing that. So if you're listening and you are doing that, please, I would love to play a gig with you.
What kind of music genre do you feel is currently dominating the Brisbane live music scene?
Punk and reggae.
Oh, okay.
And it has been for a couple of years now.
All right.
Because, whenever we would try and book gigs with KB, there's such an overwhelming amount of punk and reggae bands that are like trying to play gigs and already playing gigs while you're out. You know, you'd walk into a venue and you could really take a 50-50 guess and you'd be right half the time with either punk or reggae, what you were going to see. And not that it's bad, but there's just so much of it going around in Brisbane at the moment that I personally like. This didn't have much of a say on why I started Katanak, but I just wanted to get away from the genres that were happening all around me. So to try and stand out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think from the sounds of things, it's worked because you've worked with some pretty important figures in the Australian music scene. You've worked with Garrett, Kito, Pete Murray, and Kier Nuttall.
Yes, I've been very, very lucky.
How did you come across those, for one, and what was it like working with all of them?
So, I by happenstance, very, very luckily, a friend of the family, he's an engineer called Ben McCarthy, and he's worked with Pete Murray.
Okay.
As his piano player for like 10 or so years, like a long time. And I went to him basically to be like, hey, dude, are you able to mix my EP? Because, I wanted someone professional to be able to mix it that I trusted. Because there's been a lot of times with KB where we've gone somewhere and we haven't got the result that we've really been after because we haven't had the input outside of just giving them the stuff. That unfortunate error of not being there to kind of tell them, hey, this is how we want it. So this time I was like, Ben, would you be able to mix this for me? I need to record vocals, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. This and that, come down to Melbourne and we'll do it. So I went down there with one song, and that was Valentine, which is going to be released next year. And, of course, on Valentine's Day. So I went down there for the vocals and he was like, I love everything that you've got. Like these songs are awesome. And he asked, do I have any lyrics for them? And I was like, I have lyrics for every other song except this one song. And he was like, I love that song so much. I have this person that I think would be really cool to work with. And it happened to be Kier Nuttall. And I'd never met him. Okay. But we went back and forth on email, and he wrote the lyrics for Astronomy. Okay. So, we put it down the same day that we got the lyrics, and it was sick. Yeah. It's one of my favorite songs that we have, and I think we played 2 gigs now, something like that, 1 gig.
No, I think 2.
We played 2 gigs so far, and Astronomy by far has been like the catchiest, most anthemic song that everyone's been singing along to. So good job, Kier. Thank you very much. Like with my sick synth pop and his awesome lyrics, it created a really cool product, and it was very cool to work with him just via email. But I'd do it again if he had some spare time. I wouldn't mind it. And through the same avenue, I managed to get on. This was acoustically before Katanak was even a thing. This is when I was trying to fill the time between KB and Katanak while everyone was busy with uni and whatever. Yeah. Myself and KB's drummer, who is now the drummer for Katanak as well, we were doing an acoustic duo, and I managed to score a spot on opening for Garrett, Kito, and Pete Murray on his Summer Sessions tour 2019. Yeah. And that was sick. It was amazing to play at Night Quarter before it got shut down. Wow. I think we played the last show, which is unfortunately, a bad thing for them. But it was very, very cool. And Kingscliff Hotel to play in like thousands of people. I'm an absolute nobody currently, and to be able to play in front of that many people and actually have people be like, "That was good." Yeah. That's an amazing feeling, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah. Would you say that opportunities like that are rare, or are they something that you think artists need to work towards getting?
Both.
Okay.
Opportunities are extremely rare. You'll go your whole life maybe not even seeing one, but opportunities are created through working hard to get to those opportunities. Like no one's going to sit down and eventually someone will be like, hey dude, I see you have 100 likes on Facebook, want to come play with my band, the 1975, and you'd be like, oh hell yeah. That just doesn't happen. So you have to work to a point where opportunities, you run into them. So that's kind of what happened with the acoustic duo. We were playing around a lot and it got the attention of Ben, who went on and spoke to Pete and that kind of stuff, and yeah, it worked out well. So opportunities are created by hard work, essentially. Like you mix the two things together.
Far out. I want to take things now towards your recent single,
Yes.
Life.
Yeah.
And the song you've mentioned is about you and your fiance.
Yes.
How did you meet?
So I was playing a gig at Brisbane's Best, Rick's Bar.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I didn't even see her there, actually. But yeah, we finished the gig. We did whatever we were doing. Noah was there. I think you saw her.
I did. I vaguely saw her. I vaguely remember seeing her walk in like halfway through your set.
Yeah, so basically I played the gig. I wasn't paying attention. It was a bit of a bad gig. I wasn't having a great night. So I wasn't paying attention to much.
Was that the one where the sound engineer messed up massively? Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't a good night for me, but that's not the story here. So yeah, she came in with her friend and she was just sitting there, saw me, liked the look of me, and yeah, saw KB Theory written on the chalkboard as they have it right next to the bar, and she looked me up and started messaging me on Facebook, and it just went from there. She came to the next gig. I didn't even see her at that gig either because she didn't come up to me. And then, yeah, we just kept talking, and eventually we met up. And I should also add, she's French and she's from France. So after her visa was up, she had to go back. So we stayed together for a year while she was finishing her bachelor's degree in France. And yeah, I went over there 3 or 4 months ago and proposed.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, brought her home with me. And the song is essentially, it was in a time where we weren't certain whether or not we could even be together because the visa system is so hard and convoluted. And you have to jump through so many things to get the visa. And then sometimes, you know, once you get to the part where you can apply for a visa, sometimes they're just like, no.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for it, and they can. So it's hard having your love in the hands of a government official who doesn't know you and doesn't care. So it was like a song written about wanting to be with someone but not being able to really know whether you can. It's a powerful song, to me at least, and I'm sure a lot of people in the same boat can feel the same way.
Yeah. I think the situation of, you know, having a relationship with someone who is from the other side of the world, basically, and
very,
the
very
struggle
the other side
with
of
a
the world.
visa, like, you've mentioned that's something that maybe a lot of people would struggle with. It's not the average person's relationship problem, but a lot of your music has been described as being pretty universally relatable.
Yeah.
And you've also said that it's kind of an intentional decision on your part to make it relatable.
You don't always have to relate to a song, you know, same with Sex by the 1975. It's my favorite song, and it's about cheating, and I don't condone it, but it's just a great song. So obviously you don't always have to relate, but Life for me, it came out in just one session. I was sitting down for like 15 minutes, and I think I had the chords already, and I was just like, I was super angry after, you know, learning about all the visas we had to do. No, it was because she wanted to apply for another work and holiday visa, just the year, and they wouldn't let her get it because she'd already had one the previous year. And if you want it again, you have to work 3 or 6 months in a farm in the middle of bloody nowhere. You know, unpaid. You're just there to kind of pay off the debt to get the visa. And I was very mad having just learned that, and I was like, I'm going to write a song about this. And Life came out,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty much the story of how that came together. But yeah, as you said, it's not exactly the average Joe song, but you can relate to it. And I try to write songs that people, at least myself and the people around me, can relate to.
Yeah.
The
feelings behind the story, those would definitely be universally relatable.
You don't need to relate to the lyrics, but the feeling of like, I want to be with someone, because it doesn't exactly mention that the government's involved and all that. It's just like, the lyrics being, I take my life and make it mine. I want to love again, but you take your time. You need more signs. You don't want to let her in. Like, doesn't mention the government. It could be about anything, does my heart want to let her in? That kind of stuff. But people can relate to just the feeling and the emotion when they hear the song.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I wanted to convey in the rawness of the vocals.
Yeah. For your other songs, how do you take such like personal truths and just feelings and create them into something universal?
That's the difficult part, because you want to be as like candid as possible, but sometimes it's just too candid. So you like dumb it down a little bit. Just to make it more palatable and make it rhyme and all that kind of stuff. But, if there's not an emotion behind the song, it's kind of weak. Obviously going into pop, there's going to be a lot of songs where there's literally nothing but just like partying and getting drunk and all that kind of poppy music that's happening. But, and that's all well and good, but I like songs to have at least meaning to myself, where I can be like, yeah, no, I agree with this song, and I want to sing this from the rooftops with a lot of emotion. And when people see me playing them live, they're like, he cares about that song.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah. Are there any themes or experiences that you'd like to explore in your songs that you haven't yet?
Just whatever I come across in daily life, really. And it doesn't even have to be about me. I've written a song about my mate who was chasing a girl and it didn't work out and that kind of stuff. You haven't heard it yet, Noah. I haven't. Even
I was wondering.
It's not about you.
What are you talking about?
But yeah, no, I like to write songs and about anything, about emotions that happen to other people as well. Because obviously I can't have everything happen to myself. There's no way I can have all those experiences. Because, songwriting is about, the creativity and the message behind it. It doesn't always have to be my message. I can be giving a message for someone else from their perspective.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great songs that are written about someone else that have nothing to do with the singer, but it's their song. So yeah.
I'm just going to direct a question to Noah, because I feel like we've been ignoring him for a little while.
It's all right. Yeah.
I guess if you could bring back an animal that's gone extinct, what would you bring back?
Oh, I don't know. Everyone usually answers some sort of dinosaur, but I'm thinking more recent. I'm thinking like, one of those in Australia, the sloths or the wombats, they're like the size of the bus.
The really big wombat thing.
Huge
That's not recent
Something
at all.
Like that. Well, I say recent,
dinosaur.
it's,
It's more recent than dinosaurs, I guess.
They were around the same time.
Post dinosaur apocalypse,
like 10,000 years post.
Yeah, a couple of million years ago. But no, that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah,
I reckon.
It would be really cool if you never came across them.
Australia's dangerous enough already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we don't need giant bus-sized wombats.
Yeah, it's very big.
Yeah. What about you, Dylan? What would you bring back?
What animal would I bring back?
Yeah.
This will probably be the end of humanity if I bring it back, but I really think like the Loch Ness Monster kind of thing. Just because I'm looking at it over there. But
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The plesiosaur.
Yeah, the old Nessie. Bring that back just so I can, make boating a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, boating's not interesting enough. It needs a little something.
No, it's not that interesting. So you need something to see down under. Look down. You're like, oh, we're gonna die. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. I've just got one more question, I guess, and this is like the corny. Everyone asks this kind of question, but I feel like kind of have to ask this one. Do you have any advice that? All right, hang on. Let me start that one again. What advice would you give to emerging musicians trying to find their sound?
There's kind of two ways to do it, and I've Yeah, I've tried a lot of things. If they're trying to find their sound or just advice in general advice is network.
Okay.
Meet a lot of people. It will definitely help you out because you get to see what else is out there and what else you could, learn from. Like, there's definitely been times where I've been out at a gig and I've been like, oh, that's a sick little riff. I want to see if I can try the same thing, or a cool little drum groove. You're like, oh, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
But trying to find your sound, just write. Just keep writing. Like, I've been writing songs for, 6 or 7 years now. Just like, not including bands, but just for myself. And it's only recently have I really been proud of what I've been doing, and it takes that. The mark of a true artist is admitting the stuff you've done before is bad.
Yeah.
So, if you're trying to find your sound, just keep writing until eventually you listen to what you've written and you're being like, that's sick. I like that. You're never going to find your sound instantly.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. So if you get a year into what you're doing and you're like, oh, I just don't think I'm quite there. Like, you're probably not. So keep going for that sound. Like, the Katanak sound might not even stay that way forever. It's the sound I have currently. No one has their sound, except Nickelback. They sound like Nickelback. But yeah, no one has a sound that they stick with forever. I know a lot of my favorite bands, their sound has been changing so much over the years. Like the 1975, they started out as like a grungy, rocky pop sad band, and now they're as happy as can be in the music they write. The lyrics are still sad, but yeah, the sound is different. I know Avenged Sevenfold, one of my favorite metal bands. I'm a huge metalhead, but they started out with like, what would you even class them as? Like thrash, some thrash songs, some really nice melodic songs, and they've like become dad rock, and then they went to like prog metal, and yeah, no one's sound stays the same. If you wrote it, it's your sound. That's the advice.
Wow.
It's long advice.
Noah, do you have any advice for emerging musicians?
You just got to keep on keeping on, because
Yeah.
it takes a lot of effort and a lot of hard work, and even then you don't always find success. You don't always get picked up. You don't get the opportunities. But I think based on something Dylan said earlier, if you keep putting in the hard work and doing your best, it'll increase the chance of an opportunity coming along, which you have to just take a hold of as much as you can and use it to your best.
If you do nothing happens. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in. This has been like super duper illuminating.
No problem.
Like, just to kind of summarize the whole interview, we've talked about, the songwriting process, the struggle of, being in a relationship with someone who's got visa issues, and dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a lot of cool topics in one interview.
Yeah, I think we've peaked. Like, I've peaked in my interview career by talking about dinosaurs with you guys. So
I'm always up to talk about the 2 dinosaurs that I can name.
And maybe you could write a song about it one day. Like,
I could probably work it in somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe I could work a dinosaur lyric in.
Thank you so much, Dylan Cattanach and Noah the Roadie. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. You can find me at Facebook.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to ask as well. Do you have any gigs coming up?
I do have a gig on the 3rd of October at the Empire Hotel. We're playing in between McDermott and North Band and the August River Band. 2 really cool 2 bands that are happening in Brisbane at the moment. And October 17th at Rick's Bar. Hasn't been confirmed who we're playing with, so just turn up and it'll be a surprise unless you find me on Facebook at Catanac Music or Instagram at Catanac Music, where we post all those kind of things. Yeah. Life's dropping the 16th of September, so pre-save that on Spotify and add it to your playlist. You will not regret it. It's an absolute banger of a thong. It's an absolute banger of a song.
I've been chatting with Dylan Cattanach and Noah the Roadie. This has been Spookth on 4 Triple Z.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.